to the Today Show and Unstoppable You with Unstoppable Tracy and my unstoppable guest, Dawn Campbell. Dawn, it is wonderful to have you on the show today.
Hi, Tracy. How are you?
I am excited to be talking to you in this
Me
whole,
too.
and it's not even a new role. I want to say new role, but I've known you from the Canadian Paralympic Committee, and then I knew you in the Rick Hansen Foundation world, and now you are like crushing roadblocks in the online world in as an account manager in a whole
Correct.
new reality. So, will you tell our listeners a
Yeah.
little bit about your new self?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. I hope that you're hearing me okay.
Perfect.
I'm super excited to be here. So, I am an account manager with a company called Equidoc. And that is, again, a product that Equidoc, that Onyx Networking Canada and Onyx Networking own. So I have been in the accessibility space for many, many years, like over 20 years now. It stems from a really personal place because when I was 19 years old, I was in a head on vehicle accident and I had a lot of damage done to my right leg. So as you mentioned, I have a lot of history working in accessibility, in inclusion. And 3 years ago now, I can't believe it's almost been 3 years already, I entered into the world of digital accessibility. And I didn't just sort of enter it, I actually sort of stood on the end of a diving board and dove as deep as I possibly could to
Yeah.
figure out this, what I saw was this huge gap in awareness. And that's how my role sort of came about with the Equidox team, because I realized that most people see accessibility as ramps and elevators,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the digital world, as in websites and document creation, has really just started to get more attention, both here in Ontario, across Canada, and really broadly across the world. There's some really amazing people doing work in this space, and I have a, just a small, very specific sort of piece of digital accessibility that I do with my role in my company.
Yeah. Which is a big gap, and you think it would have been one of the quicker, faster immersion in everybody included, nobody left behind, and it's this massive opportunity to delight hundreds of thousands of your other customers, not just people with disabilities. It's such a great resource and tool as and makes complete business sense. And I learned a lot of that from you. How come it makes so much business sense?
Well, again, we live in a really digital world right now, Tracy. And again, we live in a culture, especially with COVID, and especially with there's been this huge shift, even in this past year with COVID-19, where people are now working from home and we are shopping from home like none before, right? So
Yeah.
again, when we're making our websites and when we're creating documents and putting on them on websites, if you come at it from an accessibility approach, you're just going to be benefiting and reaching everyone and more customers. So, it was interesting because my background has been in the physical space, right? In the built environment space, in the breaking down mindsets and attitudes. And, a lot of people sort of ask me, how did that transition? Like, how did you go from that focus on the built environment to the focus of the digital world? And what was your biggest learning? And, I have to say, philosophically, Tracy, the digital world of accessibility is experiencing the exact same problem as the built environment. And what I mean by that is we're still building things wrong, right? So we're trying so hard in the built environment that every new building, we know we have so many champions, especially here in Ontario and across Canada and across the world. We have these amazing champions who are fighting to change building codes and to make sure that when you build a new building, it just obviously gets a ramp.
Yeah.
Well, again, now I've moved into this digital world and I'm seeing the same things happen as what I saw in the built environment world. We're creating websites for businesses, we're creating documents for people, and we're not thinking about accessibility when we do that. So you end up leaving a big portion of people out, especially people who heavily rely on screen readers. So, do you know what a screen reader is?
I know what a screen reader is, but I think just in case we have any listeners that don't, and if you could face the sun as much as you can,
Yeah. So, the screen readers, right? So, again,
so
a
that the
screen
people reading lips can read your lips.
So a screen reader again is going to be is a piece of adapted accessible technology that people with disabilities use it in order to have websites and have documents read aloud to them. So
Yeah.
when most people think of screen readers, we automatically assume that it's people that are blind.
Yeah.
And yes, that's 100% true. But
But
right now, we're also in an aging society where we have a lot of people, and the Canadian Council for of Blindness in Canada, Canadian Council of the Blind, just did this amazing research study that really helps all, and they just went public with it a couple of weeks ago in terms of what are the statistics of actual numbers of people with just vision disabilities in general. And so, again, when we're talking about building accessible websites and building accessible documents, we're not just talking about blind people. We're talking about people who have dyslexia. We're talking about learning disabilities. We're talking about anybody who could get in a car accident today and end up hitting their head and having a concussion and having to do their work using a screen reader. So it's really a very broad topic that I love exploring.
well, and the other cool thing I think is that, books that people are reading online and Otter that does, voice to text. And there's a lot of technology out there. And who knows which of those are tapping into that technology for the greater public. So for example, the YouTube owner that added scription to YouTube videos. And we say, okay, that's for people with hearing loss. But all of us, I don't know about you, but I turn
All of
that
us
description on when I'm
benefit.
watching Netflix. We all use it. So you just sort of expanded the number of people with visible and invisible disabilities, plus people that are not even considered having a disability, but also need to leverage this technology. But I'd like to throw in also the world is expanding online and leveraging some of these useful technologies to expand other customer service opportunities. And so there is so much potential here. And there's also a really hot topic right now here in Canada and Ontario. And so I don't want to leave our listeners hanging, but I need to take a break. I need to take a commercial break. So please be sure to stay tuned right after these messages because Dawn is going to tune in with more tips, more tricks, and some enlightenment about a burning hot topic right now about why it's legislation and how you are accountable. And she's going to help us out and be a bit of a lifeline. So stay tuned for right after these messages to receive that lifeline. We'll be right back with Unstoppable Tracy and Dawn Campbell.